Imagine our well-being as a delicate vessel navigating through the tumultuous seas of the external world. This world, fickle and unreliable, holds our peace of mind at ransom. 2 millennia ago, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus keenly observed this human predicament. People, he noticed, were burdened and weighed down, not because they cared too much, but because they cared about too many of the wrong things. His remedy? A shift in focus. Care intensely, but only about the right things, and relinquish your grip on all that is inconsequential. Epictetus illuminated this idea by anchoring it in the reality of our existence as rational beings in a dynamic world. This core idea is crystallized in his concept of the dichotomy of control. Picture this: a scale with two sides. On one side, things within our control; on the other, things beyond it. When we invest our energy in the former, we empower ourselves. However, obsessing over the latter, that's a recipe for weakness and suffering. But wait, what exactly are these things we often hold on to, and why is it crucial to let them go? This exploration takes you deep into Epictetus's philosophy, unraveling what we should focus on to achieve happiness and contentment, and what we should discard. Diving into the primary sources of Epictetus' philosophy, the Discourses and the Enchiridion, documented by his student Arrian, we uncover lessons on contentment, inner peace, and mental fortitude against life's external storms. Epictetus, in the first chapter of Discourses, declares that external circumstances can only wound us if we attach ourselves to them. He exemplifies this with his own exile. He chose to face it not with sorrow, but with a smile and serene composure, demonstrating that it's not the situation, but our attitude towards it that defines our experience. So, what lies within our control and what doesn't? In the words of Epictetus, some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions. The external world beyond our control, our reactions and actions within that world entirely up to us. Epictetus isn't advocating for a life of indifference. Quite the opposite. He calls for a life aligned with nature and morality, goals entirely within our grasp. However, he warns against clinging to the impermanent and unstable aspects of life. The outside world, with its alluring pleasures and promises, often captivates us. We long for its offerings, attaching ourselves to anything that stimulates our minds and senses. But the loss of these attachments brings pain, and our fortunes in gaining or losing them are at the whim of fate. Thus, it becomes essential to detach from the uncontrollable. If we aim to foster a resilient and stable sense of well-being, Epictetus doesn't leave us empty-handed. He offers strategies and insights, highlighting the power of reason over external influences. This video, crafted for practicality, restructures these teachings based on Epictetus' principles beyond the first chapter of the Enchiridion. From this, we extract 3 key Stoic principles to let go of: attachment to objects, people, and power. It's a natural human tendency to form attachments, not just to people, but to objects as well. Often we confuse attachment, which carries a sense of possession, with love. This misconception leads to joy in presence, but immense pain in absence. Stay tuned as we explore these attachments further and discover how to navigate them wisely, according to Stoic philosophy. In the intricate dance of life, our well-being often becomes a hostage to the unpredictable nature of the world and the people around us. The joy we find in the company of those we cherish is profound, yet this joy can transform into deep agony when they depart from our lives. Tragically, we sometimes grieve these losses in advance, conjuring up scenarios of separation in our minds. This clinging to people, to the idea of permanence, is a source of continual pain, stemming from our resistance to the inevitable ebb and flow of relationships. The fear of loss, at times, spirals into an obsession, leading our lives to revolve around averting separation. This pattern extends to our quest for power. The ancient philosopher Epicurus noted the insatiable nature of power. The more we have, the more we crave. However, the pursuit of power often becomes a source of misery, as their relentless desire for more power and the refusal to relinquish it breeds stress and discontent. Ironically, while power suggests control, it is, in essence, beyond our grasp, prone to be given and taken away in life's unpredictable course. to fight against the transient nature of existence is, as Epictetus would say, the way of the fool. Instead, we should align ourselves with nature's flow, embracing transience as a fundamental aspect of life. Epictetus offers a profound perspective on how to approach life's offerings, be it objects, people, or power. Helicons life to a dinner party. We take what comes to us with moderation, let go of what passes us by, and patiently wait for what is yet to come. This approach, he suggests, makes us not only guests at life's great feast, but potentially partners in its empire. Epictetus urges us to fortify ourselves against the pain of loss by altering our perception of attachment. Instead of viewing things as possessions we are entitled to, we should consider everything we have as borrowed. In this light, loss becomes a return of what was never ours to keep. This viewpoint does not stray far from reality, as the only true possession we have is our capacity for reason. Thus, the concept of borrowing aligns more closely with the reality of our transient ownership. According to Epictetus, there is no harm in having or enjoying things, as long as we remain prepared to let them go when the time comes. This perspective also extends to how we view the opinions of others. In modern times, the desire to be liked can be overwhelming. We often go to great lengths to garner approval, yet this quest is not always aligned with our well-being. Epictetus reminds us that external validation should not eclipse our inner peace. He advises that we shouldn't be troubled if we aren't welcomed in certain circles, especially if we haven't invested in those relationships. The price of being liked, after all, is often one's time and energy. Continuing from the previous discourse on Stoic philosophy, we delve further into the realm of social acceptance and the pursuit of external validation. Not being invited to a gathering may deprive us of certain joys, but as Epictetus sagely points out, it also frees us from the obligation to praise someone we might not genuinely admire or tolerate behaviors we find disagreeable. This absence of insincerity is a reward in itself. Their relentless endeavor to be liked, involving actions like praising those we'd rather not or attending social events out of obligation, is a tiresome journey. It detracts from our tranquility, a state unattainable if we're constantly swayed by others' opinions. Epictetus, with his penetrating insight, advises that we should be willing to face ridicule, laughter, or disdain if it means preserving our inner peace and freedom. The essence of tranquility lies not in others' perceptions of us, but in our own self-acceptance. When criticized, we might humorously acknowledge our imperfections, recognizing that the opinions of others are out of our control. What we can control, however, is how these opinions affect us. Do we allow ourselves to be molded by them, or do we extract any useful insights and then let them fade into irrelevance? Moving on to the third and vital aspect of Stoic wisdom, the detachment from specific outcomes and ideas. The universe operates with or without our consent, often indifferent to our desires. Attempting to control or change the inevitable is a futile battle. People frequently obsess over how things should be, both in the present and future, or how they should have been in the past. This resistance only serves to amplify our suffering. Epictetus uses the example of a servant to illustrate this point. A servant might be expected to be obedient, but it's unrealistic to expect perfect compliance at all times. People, like servants, have their own wills and natures. The key question is, what's more important, an impeccably obedient servant or a master's happiness? The two are not always compatible. Accepting that people will not always act as we wish is the price we pay for inner peace. This metaphor extends to broader life scenarios. For instance, expecting the world to be free of offense is impractical. Muzzling those deemed offensive doesn't eradicate the fundamental nature of human interaction. There will always be disagreements and conflicts as long as humanity exists. Thus, the pursuit of a universally inoffensive world is not only unrealistic but potentially detrimental. A more pragmatic approach is to cultivate kindness within ourselves, something within our control, and hope that others might follow suit. However, their reactions are not ours to dictate. In conclusion, the teachings of Epictetus guide us to embrace life as it unfolds, relinquishing our grip on the uncontrollable while focusing on cultivating a strong, peaceful inner self. By accepting life's unpredictable nature and focusing on living well within it, we triumph over the whims of fortune. Thank you for engaging with this exploration of Stoic philosophy.